Hey everyone, Christopher Beast here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how weapon frequency has changed since update 9.1 to nowadays, which is update 10.1, and what exactly this means regarding, general trends of the community. So buckle in and let's just get right into this. So if you're not aware, on this channel, every so often we gather weapon frequency, really, what guns, how much of how many guns are we seeing in encounters. This video's weapon frequency is provided by Bad But Sweaty, who is a good friend of the channel. Great guy, and I'll have his stuff linked below in the description because you really should go check him out. Big thanks to all the work he does to help me, and he's really a great help. So if you didn't watch my previous weapon frequency video, I don't blame you, but the general conclusions of it right now is that there is no gun with a high enough percentage to be considered a solid meta. And that still holds true to this update. However, what we want to look at with the weapon frequency of this update is how has weapon frequency changed going from update 9.1 to now, and what really conclusions we can make out of that. So first things first, I would like to bring up that the vast majority of weapons had a negligible change from 9.1 to 10.1. This is really if a data set changes by 0.5%, you can't really consider it an actual change simply because it's, that simply is sample size error. And that's just too low of a percent change to really matter. And it's not something we really want to be focusing on. But looking at the guns that had a greater percent change, we can start off with the guns that lost percentages, and one of the more interesting loss of percentages, and that comes in the hands of pistols. Pistols as a weapon category historically have had pretty low percentiles, but normally that percentile is brought up by people using them as secondaries. Before this update in 9.1, the PSS had a 1.1%, PM having a 2.2%, and the Raffica a 2.7% chance of being used. However, with update 10.1, all of these guns have suffered a 1 percentile decrease, now bringing the PSS down to 0.1%, the PM to 1.1%, and the Raffica to 1.8%. This is a massive drop-off in usage from all three of these guns. So simply put, something is making people use pistols less. To be honest, I'm not sure what this is, but this could be tying in part simply due to the reduced frequency of the pistol challenge, and really more and more people seeming to not really be interested in doing the pistol challenges when they pop up, and that could have caused a decrease. Now, do I think a decrease of this scale would have occurred? No. So I think there is something greater going on in the community of just people realizing that, generally speaking, pistols are not really going to help you very much in firefights, so they're moving away from them at alarming rates. The next interesting piece of data we can look at is a positive thing. Thompsons, when the percent changes with Thompsons, 100% of the time indicates new players. Thompson percentages don't increase because people go to the Thompson. The Thompson's a 7-shot kill. That's arguably horrible. So normally when you see Thompson players, they are new. So if Thompson percentage increases in any update, it means that update saw a lot more new players than the previous update. And this update has seen a massive increase in Thompson usage. Thompson now clocks in at 5.2% of the usage, going up from its 3.09% that it held in 9.1. This is a 2.1% increase and is the largest increase in data in the entire dataset, proving that just a lot of new players joined during this update, and that over the last season, the game is getting more people to join rather than previous seasons, which is always interesting to see. Aside from that, we have one last major thing to talk about, and that is the strange trends going on with sniper rifles. I believe with a pretty large degree of certainty that we are approaching a more sniper-dominated, economy with more players running the snipers. And I say this simply because of the percentile increase. 4 out of all of the snipers have received this update. So these are the M21, the SS82, the SVU, and the SVD. These received, in this order, M21 0.72% increase, SS82 0.64% increase, SVU 0.93% increase, and the SVD a 0.67% increase, meaning these guns now occupy decent percentages on their own, or at least much higher than we're used to seeing them. The most peculiar of these is the SS82. The SS82 normally comfortably sits around 0.25%, meaning it's literally not used at all. It is normally just something that you can round down and it disappears. But now it's getting closer to a solid percentile, which raises a lot of questions from me as to what is going on to make people want to use the SS82, and the only logical answer I can come up with is that people just want to use snipers nowadays. So with that, that's all the major findings of the data, but I may as well bring up some of the minute changes that occurred across the data set as well. The AKM seems to have really settled into its position. It's no longer changing by a noticeable margin anymore. But on that note, the ADR has seen a 0.65% decrease, the H-bar a 0.69% increase, the Lashiev a 0.67% decrease, the M16 a 0.91% decrease, the Mosin a 0.76% decrease, the PPSH a 0.8% decrease, and moving down from there, the RPK and the RPK-74 both saw decreases. The SG1 decreased by 0.88 as a continuing trend from what we've seen over time. The Silver Pigeon has decreased by 0.81%. The Suomi was decreased by 0.84%. And finally, the ZAM76 saw a 0.62% increase. Those datasets simply don't really fit into any broader story and are either a result of more people realizing the gun is better or worse, or alternatively could be signs of, just general movement of the data not really properly catching the whole story. But overall, that's everything we know about how trends are changing in Vigor's weapon frequency at the moment. This type of stuff is a really good way to see generally how the community is moving in terms of if there is a meta emerging. And I would say at this moment, I don't think there is any fears of a meta. I don't think any gun is really coming close to being a meta. There's a lot of guns that are underperforming, but there really will always be those, and we'll be making videos in the upcoming weeks addressing those concerns. But that's all for today's video, and if you guys enjoyed, I'm glad to hear it. If you like the background music I used, my friend Blaze, who also makes my outro music, just dropped an entire album on Spotify. I'll be making a video dedicated to that in the near future, but if you want to give him some support, his link will be in the description. These types of videos I know are not the most captivating, but it's good to make sure that we all are on the same foot, understanding-wise, really what's going on with these shifts of players. And hopefully you found it at least a tiny bit interesting. But this has been Crystal Beast, and I hope to see you all next time.